Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Ultimate Live. My name is Yogesh Kapoor and I'll be the host for today. And with me is Christina Will Spears, the founder of Ultimate Retreats. And in our Thursdays Live today, we're going to be talking about a very, very important topic. It's the divine feminine, but it's the unhealed divine feminine. So, Christina, explain to us what that means.
Well, as we go through and we bring in the divine feminine, we are all going through various aspects, and we are bringing this in without any judgment because we are all one. So as we do this, we bring in this with all divine love, and we offer, because we're all one, we're all coming forth in the energy of one. And so as we do this, we offer ourselves grace to look at ourselves with the energy of a source. And we connect to give ourselves a beautiful ability to really analyze ourselves and see what we have to heal. So, because again, it's that yin and yang. And so, what energies, what things are we maybe depleted in? What are we needing to heal to bring ourselves into that divine energy of that divine feminine? So,
What is a good way to identify that you need healing? Because I know so many people, they just don't understand. They don't, I mean, for light workers, yes, we understand what divine healing is. We understand we need healing. We have our triggers. But what about those people who just have no clue?
when I first started, it was because I had pain, because I had constant pain. So if you're ever having a constant feeling, like if you're ever feeling like you are consistently having a headache or consistently feeling tired, consistently having a knee pain or a shoulder pain or any sort of consistent aggravation, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, whatever it is, that's your subconscious saying something is going on that you might want to address. Our subconscious is always speaking to us, but it's a lot of times we don't understand what they're saying, what our higher self is saying. So,
What are some of the techniques you use to heal your divine feminine?
well, at first, it was Reiki. I started with Reiki because that was what was originally presented to me, and it worked so well. So I first started going to see I was a light worker, and she started doing Reiki with me. She was a Reiki master, and it brought in such amazing energy that I was like, whoa, this is life changing. And it opened me up to all these other things. So that's why as I became a Reiki practitioner, that's when I started Tree of Life Reiki. And as I started delving into all these new aspects, that's when I started sharing them with Tree of Life Reiki. But there's, I started going into essential oils because essential oils were something that I had been touched. I mean, I had always known about herbs and um, and a little bit about oils, but I really started looking into them and knew that this was something that I was going to use on a regular basis in my practice. And the more I looked into them, the more I realized I had instinctively known a lot about them. And the more it just became um, this beautiful gift that I worked with. And so I think a lot of times we have these gifts on a subconscious level, we just are not tapped into them. I believe everyone has gifts. We just aren't tapped in always because of whatever, healing we have to work on. And so as I opened up all those chakras with Reiki and essential oils, then it became, wow, what else is there? And then it was crystals. And then after crystals, I started studying Chinese medicine and the history of religion. And I wanted to learn all about how all of these things inter, connected. And it just became this, well, it became a tree, it just kind of grew. And all of these things grew. And then it was light work. And as by then I was a Reiki master, and I was going into light work and learning all of how all of these things intertwined. And after that, it was quantum by the time. So it was just, it all grows. People should just do it as they are intuitively, you know, um, connected, because that intuitive connection, there's something there. They probably have a gift there, or they probably have something. Their subconscious mind is probably telling them on some level, "Hey, you probably have worked with these modalities on some level in a past life, or you have some sort of knowledge that you don't even realize, and you haven't tapped into that." So it becomes a beautiful blessing as you do start tapping into it.
That's amazing. That's amazing the way you explained it and the modalities you used and how the higher self is always telling you, um, you know, giving you signs that you need to get going and healing yourself in order to move forward and align with the divine feminine. But what are some of the repercussions of not healing the divine feminine?
Well, when we are not healing the divine feminine, we're feeling really doubtful about who we are. We might even, like, a lot of times when the divine feminine is in play, we'll be like in a room of people and feel invisible. Or, have you ever felt like you are in a room with people? Because I know this has happened to me, where I would be in a room with people and just feel like I shouldn't be there. Or, or I was in, just like, everyone else was going and doing stuff, and I was like a ghost or an invisible person in that room. That was an unhealed aspect of my divine feminine. So as those parts come in, or you really just doubt the gifts that you have, you are about to do something, and you have that imposter syndrome, where you feel like, oh wow, am I as good as that person? Or is you've made a dish, and you see all these other beautiful dishes, or and you're like, wow, is my dish going to taste as good as all theirs? Or um is my painting as nice as theirs? Something like that. Those aspects are the unhealed version. Another thing is, um, when and I'll speak from aspects of me, because there's a lot of, because it's easy to just share from example. Um, a lot of times, there was times when I was giving my energy away. I would constantly, when 10 years ago, for an example, and even more recent than that, I would spend all of my time doing for others and not doing enough for myself. So, like, when there was a time when my children were really needing a lot of my attention, and I dropped everything for my own needs and did 6 days a week, I was doing things for my children, maybe even more, because I felt like they needed that. But then at a certain point, it was like, whoa, I wasn't taking care of myself. And that's when Source came in and showed me, Christina, you're important too, you know, and you know, that comes in. Or keeping people, there's times when you might be hurt so badly by people or by experiences that you keep everyone at arm's length because you're afraid to be hurt again. And a lot of times this happens on a subconscious level. So you just push everyone away, or you keep everyone and you just kind of keep at a distance because it's just too painful to get close to people, because if you do, you might get hurt again. And that's something that's very common, after you keep getting hurt, to allow people to come back in and have that connection takes a lot of strength. Okay. Feeling the need to be perfect, perfectionism comes in so often when I do quantum healings. And I've talked about that before, because everyone has this desire to be perfect. And it's so funny because we're all one. We're trying to be perfect. Who are we trying to be perfect for? But ourselves, because when we go to Source, when we connect with Source, Source loves us no matter what. So as we connect and we release all that, we're dropping all that judgment. So it's that perfectionism, feeling, like we have to be perfect for everyone in every aspect of our life, having everything, all of our house perfect, our clothes, everything perfect all the time. Is That's a lot of demand to put on ourselves, you know. And when we can release that, it feels so good. It does. It feels so good. So that's some of those aspects.
That's amazing. That's amazing what you kind of picked out. Something I wanted to add to this was, divine feminine also um, is part of your creativity.
Oh yeah.
And I realize there's so many light workers out there who want to be coaches or are coaches, but at the same time they have a difficult time being creative in their work. They have a difficult time coming up with new programs, and it reflects also on their work. They become stale and they don't realize that they also need healing to reach that divine state. Um, there were some other things you mentioned previously when we were talking about in our previous episode about divine feminine, that it also describes vulnerability,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, because we tend to leak energy when we're in this state. So, because we're giving to other people so much, we have all these energy tears. So, we don't realize it, and then we get burnt out. We feel so burnt out, and before we know it, and this happens really commonly with like mothers who are overdoing it, caregivers, um, even healers and coaches, because they're just going and going, and then the next thing you know, they just can't go anymore. um, because a subconscious, on some subconscious level, we're trying to prove our worth. And when we can release that and just feel that we're worthy, that changes the whole aspect. Um, we There's this need in this state to feel validation. We want to feel validated, or we're covering up what we want. We feel like we have to, instead of just being open about it. We want to, we're avoiding the responsibility. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed that we're avoiding something, or we're procrastinating because we're just like, oh, there's a lot of times I see like too many pots on the fire, and we just don't know how to deal with all of them. And so a lot of times it comes down to self-sacrificing and putting other people first in this state. So you end up and you end up feeling like the victim. And it's like, oh, poor me, where it doesn't necessarily, it's not, you've put yourself here. And when you can instead change that story and be the victor from that victim, it changes everything around. And you become this empowered divine feminine. And that just creates a whole new dynamic. Some of the signs of this is like always feeling tired, or feeling like you're forcing things to work all the time. You're just like, it's like you're pushing things along, or you feel like you're living in your head. You're always like trying to, and you'll feel it in your shoulders. You'll feel like tenseness in your shoulders and in your back, because you feel like you've got too much on your plate. You'll feel all that tension, and you'll feel all the weight there. That's your
Wow.
subconscious mind again telling you. You
Wow.
know, it's
I,
funny how they work that way.
it is. I'm sure those of you that are listening live or who watch the replay, they'll resonate with so much of what you've just explained. I don't know if there are any comments there because I can't see any. Um,
Yeah, I just see one that says beautiful. So, and I think that was from earlier. So I don't know.
okay. Yeah. Wow. It's kind of making me reflect right now on some of the things you mentioned about procrastination or being in the victim mode, because I fall into that sometimes.
Well,
And
yeah, that's why we release
and
the judgment. Sorry, go on.
yeah, and like you said, releasing the judgment. I mean, um, I know I've spoken to so many people over the past few weeks, and it's interesting because everything you're saying is just hitting back at me, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, so many of them need healing. But when you
Yeah.
speak to them or when you give them your advice, they just don't want to listen. They just don't. And I know I've seen potential in these people. I've seen creativity, but they're not willing to step forward and share their stories. They're not willing to go to a point where they want to face their demons. They don't feel worthy. There's so many things out there, and all they have to do is just get rid of some toxic people in their lives who drain their energies and put themselves first, but they don't do it. And I think today I want to more talk about how do you get that message out there, because I know you've been doing that. You've been helping a lot of people. You've been quantum healing a lot of people. How do we get that message out there to people?
That's a good question. A lot of times, I used to spend a lot of energy um, on trying to get through to people, and that in some aspects can be an energy leak. So I put my posts out, I create, seeds, and then I talk to people, and then I allow them time. I allow them time to kind of think about it. And and I also realize that sometimes things happen to people because that's part of their own soul mission, their own experiences. They've um before they were born, they they chose those experiences. So maybe they had to go through something, and what you said, it's not that it didn't resonate, but they had to go through something, hear what you said, and then go through another experience, and then they're going to come back to what you said and then be like, wow, what Yogesh said was right on. Now I'm ready for this, if that makes sense. Because sometimes, it just takes a little time to absorb or go through an experience. Hey, Grace. And Honora says, I can really relate to this message today. Thank you for sharing your experience in life and shadow work for healing. Because sometimes those experiences can actually be grains of seeds. It's like they they help you along the way so you don't have to repeat it over and over and over. But sometimes those are the learning lessons. Those are the lessons that teach people it, what they're needing to learn, because everyone has come here with certain lessons before, saying, okay, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to learn this, and I'm going to learn this, my soul, before I come, or as on this journey. And each one of us has different experiences that they want to experience. And so, even if you understand that, doesn't mean that they're ready to absorb it. And you can explain a little bit, and then they'll experience something, and then it will click, if that makes sense. And there's times when people have come back to me after something and it clicks more, or they'll see something. It just takes a little bit of absorption, that makes sense, to kind of connect all of those pieces. And there's times when I do that as well. Like, I'll have received information from coaches and then gone through experiences, and then I'll be like, wow, that's what that coach meant a year ago or 2 years ago. And I'll even message coaches back and say, thank you for that information, because this is now connecting with what I'm doing, or what I'm, you know, feeling and going through, because it's like puzzle pieces to your own picture.
Exactly. But how do we make it rapid? I mean, I understand sometimes the messages resonate maybe a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, but we're already in an age of quantum, right? Every other coach is talking about quantum leaps, a quantum abundance, quantum everything. So how do we get people to get their shit together? Let's put it that way. I think that's
um,
the
well, that's a good question. They have to choose it. They have to choose it for themselves. And that's why, like, we do these retreats and these events and coaching, and every soul has to choose for themselves. And then and that's where, like, these retreats, as they choose to come to the retreat, they're choosing to raise their vibration enough to opt for the option of going through a quantum leap, because their vibration is going to go so high as they go through this retreat that they have the ability to quantum leap. And that's just one retreat. Now we're going to be doing 3 women's retreats this year. So, or in the next, by, uh, what is it? It's going to be uh, by winter. By winter, we'll be doing 3 retreats. So I mean, that's 3 times that we'll be doing quantum, we'll literally have the chance to quantum leap and and come together. And there's so much energy there, and then there's the other, I've also been bringing in some other chances as well to connect and do some stuff. So, it's amazing how energy works. source brings in all kinds of avenues when you work with it. So,
Well, since you mentioned the retreat, um, the first one that's coming up, and it's a women's retreat, and we've spoken about this a couple of times, and you'll be doing a lot of healing and a lot of modalities, and it's going to be quantum. Um, I believe it's almost sold out. Last when we spoke, there are
yeah,
only a few places available. What's the website where they can go, and for those who might be interested to watch this replay, where can they go and get the information for this retreat?
I'll put the website up, but it's the Ultimate Retreats event website that they can go to, and they can get all the information. And it's cool too because they can also get information about you and Grace as well on that website. So, yeah, it's really neat that we can do that. So, um, yeah, and we'll be posting soon. We'll be posting about the next retreat as well, for the next women's retreat, and that will be in October. So I'm excited to be talking about that. And that's going to be a totally different spot. So,
I'm extremely excited. I mean, I told you I wish I was a woman. It sounds so interesting. You have massages, you have so many things going on. But I'm also glad that the live I did with Jeff last week, and we're also working out a retreat for the divine masculine. But of course, we're still in the early stages, and we're still discussing dates and venue and the place. Um, might be Bali, just to give it off a little bit. But we're
that's
not sure
awesome.
yet. We're gonna let everyone know. And since we're talking about the divine feminine, every time we do this live, it's 11 p.m. my time, and when it hits 11:11, I always pull out a card. So I just wanted to show this card for today.
What's the card
Um,
say?
it says Shri Bala. So the deck I use is the Kali Oracle,
Yeah.
and this one is about a feminine child.
Ah,
And it's interesting that this card shows up. Of course, I cannot speak about it because if I read
this
the whole
that
thing, it's
totally makes sense because when yes, retreats are the way Grace says. Yes, that totally makes sense because with divine feminine and bringing in healing the divine feminine is bringing in divine inner, or it's bringing in inner child healing. We are working on inner child healing. And so as we do this, part of doing that is bringing in all healing the aspects of like any healing we have with the masculine. So, if you have any anger issues with the masculine energy, we would be healing that. We would be bringing in any aspects. So, any problems with boundaries, any problems with envy, jealousy, being over emotional, toxic aggression, all those things, but they all connect with inner child. And we do this through all these cool different ways that are actually fun. They're going to be fun. So I look forward to that. And that it's so fun. It's so interesting how your pull is always connected to whatever I'm talking about. I love how that works.
I know I don't even I just shuffle the deck and I say what's the message for today, and then I just wait till 11:11 and then I pull it out, you know.
It
And
always
it's I think it's always in divine timing. Even I was attending a live yesterday. I never attend those lives, but I just did. It was an oracle read, and I got the card I knew I was supposed to get. You know, it was really interesting. So it just tells you, right, that when you're in that alignment, everything falls into place. So for all of you out there who are getting those triggers, are having imposter syndrome, are not feeling worthy, are keeping others first, and you really want to get your shit together. I love using that word today. Don't mind my language, but you know, reach out to Christina. She's a quantum healer. Attend the women's retreat for those who are women. Or if you have confidence issues, reach out to one of us in the ultimate live website. There's so many of us coaches and trainers here. You know, now's the time. Things can be done fast. Never wait. This card says it all. Heal that inner child that was damaged years ago. Doesn't matter how old you are. Heal that child, and you will be in your divine feminine energy. So,
Yes.
if anyone has any questions, please put it in the comments. I'm sure Christina can read it out and answer them.
Grace says energy alignment. And I think that has to do with your card. It was perfect alignment, you know. And yeah, there's I have a couple of ways to unblock the divine feminine. And there's bringing in softness into our life, just bringing in energy of softness and questioning, just like you were talking about, questioning our old beliefs. You know, I would love that, Grace. I would love that. Um, Questioning our old beliefs, and we are going to be doing that at the retreat by doing some quantum healing, so people can just automatically um, bring that in, and focusing on love and good relationships. So just focusing on the positive is will bring in the positive. Pursuing guilt-free pleasures. So, you know, whatever you love that just is completely guilt free. I love to work in my garden. So I've been spending a lot of time in my garden. Changing limiting beliefs and creating a beautiful space for yourself, wherever that is. Creating a beauty routine, or just a routine to take care of yourself. It doesn't have to be like, you know, if you don't put on makeup and do all that stuff, that's fine. But take care of yourself. You know, taking time to do that on a regular basis is actually important because you're giving yourself attention and love. Being creative, spending time doing creative things. There's so many cool things in the world that we can add creative things to, and it just brings excitement. It brings fun into our life, and following our heart, being in our heart space. Just it it brings in love, and it brings in a good feeling. It just brings in just such a nice, happy feeling. So that's what I was feeling for today to help with that.
You know, one of the ways I do something that really I enjoy, and it's guilt-free, is sleep. If
Yeah,
nothing else that feels guilt-free, sleep. I feel that's the best way to just shut down, heal yourself, heal your whole system, because at that point, there's no energy leak, there's nothing. You've just shut down. Of course, the only one thing is when you go to sleep, don't think anything negative, because again, you're just uh, programming it wrong. But I feel that's one of the best ways I shut down. When I feel overwhelmed, when I feel lost, I just say, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed. And then the next morning, I'm just like full of energy. I'm so focused. Is sometimes, we burn out energy faster than other people, especially the ones in
mhm,
divine feminine, right? The creatives, the light workers. We burn energy quick.
yeah,
We're not the corporate types that can work, 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 and keep working. We're the types that have a certain amount of energy. We use it to our max, and then we're out of it. But then we give it another name. We define it. Oh my God, why am I not like everybody else? Why can't I work more hours? But that's not the truth. We actually have done our work already. uh, right?
yeah,
Many times I remember when we have our conversations, and you just you just go and clear yourself, right? You clear your
yeah,
energies before anything, because you've drained so much, or you've worked so much on your clients, that you need to just get back in alignment.
yeah,
Because end of the day, it is energy exchange. Everything is energy exchange.
Yeah, most definitely. We're even exchanging, or we're still doing stuff even while we're sleeping. And, our subconscious is still going. So there's a lot of times when I will wake up and I'll know that I've done a whole bunch of work while I was sleeping. So, because I'll have gotten downloads and different things while I was sleeping. So, there's a lot of times when I will put on like binaural beats as a way of just receiving energy, or I will put on a meditation and just kind of like connect that way. I'll just sit in the garden. I like going for walks. I love swimming. I love doing salt baths. Oh my gosh. I do salt baths to release, and I love essential oils. I love um, big salads. I love salad. I mean, I could eat salad every meal. I love tea, big cups of tea. There's so many things I love, crystals. There's so many
Y-
things that
You know,
can.
I'm completely resonating with you. I mean, it's almost midnight here, and I'm having coffee.
Yes, yeah, I'm having my infused water, but yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that they can bring your energy in, and if you start thinking about it, it's just like, you know, it's amazing.
I'll give you the best example. Yesterday, I had some paperwork to do because I have some urgent stuff to get done, and I quickly went for a shower. I shaved. You know, this is like 3 in the morning, and I was just ready to go to bed. And then I got a call from Grace, and she's like, "I have a book reading club. Can you be a guest? And can you give some comments?" And I said, "Sure." And this went on till like 4 a.m. in the morning. But at the end of it, I was feeling so good because when I get teaching the youth and talking to them, giving tips, I don't know what happens. The energy exchange was like so energetic, and then I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't go to sleep till like 5:30 in the morning, and I was like, no, please, I have to wake up at 7 now, But all that energy exchange just put me in alignment.
Yeah, yeah, because it was a good feeling. It was a good, yeah, I understand that. I love positive conversations and stuff like that. That's why I love retreats, is because I love interacting with positive, like-minded people. And I love that energy. So that's what I'm asking for Source, is that beautiful energy,
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many times we've gone live, and there's so much we've been covering, and sometimes you wonder, right, that whether someone is watching or whether someone is getting any sort of tips or any clarity with what we're speaking about. We don't know that now. We're probably down the line, right? But we
Yeah.
still do what we have to do because we're in alignment. We want to make sure that people really, I'm going to say this a third time, get their shit together. Uh, you know, uh, so those of you who watch us live, I hope you got something today. Those of you who are going to watch the replay, please hashtag replay. Check out the retreat. I'm sure it's going to benefit those of you that really want to make a shift, a quantum shift this year in 2023. I mean, come on, we're already in the world of AI. Things are going so fast, and it's going to get more digitalized, but we don't want to get lost in all of that. And that's one thing about retreats. You get to go into nature, you get to stay away from the gadgets, you get to heal yourself, not just from your inner child, but from those daily life routines. So don't miss this opportunity. And don't miss this opportunity. Check out the website. And since there are no more questions, I think we can call it a day for today. Anything else you want to add, Christina?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Because retreats are one of those times that we actually turn off our cell phones. I mean, unless you have an emergency call you have to make, or are expecting, it's one of those times when we don't, I won't be on the cell phone the whole time. I'm so looking forward to that actually. And last retreat I had, I didn't use the cell phone until afterwards, and then I took a couple pictures. But it was just, that's actually one of the blessings, is to just kind of put all of the electronics to the side and really interact with the people there, and to really interact and have that heart space. And that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to, is having that time to really get to know people in person. So,
Exactly.
and I look forward to hearing about the men's retreat, and how you guys had that time as well, because that's precious. That's so that's just beautiful in this time and age.
I'm looking forward to it myself. We're just in the beginning stages. So when we have everything finalized, we'll be advertising it and we will be reaching out to the men who've been asking us about it privately. But yeah, when we
And
have
then
everything
I'll be
ready, we'll.
talking Yeah, and then I'll be talking to you about it. I look
Oh
forward to
yeah, for sure, for sure, for
I look
sure.
forward to that. So, yeah. So,
I mean, there's so much to cover, right? There's the women's retreat, there's the men's retreat, and then we also have a couple of courses coming up, which we haven't really
talk
mentioned about, or
yeah.
the course on coaching, on those who want to become coaches, that we were thinking about to doing with Grace, you and me. And there's so many other things, but we just don't want to flood so much information so people don't get so confused. But we'll get back to everyone on that, because I know there's been a lot of interest in that. But for today, I think we covered a lot. And thank you for those who were watching us live. Those of you who watched the replay, once again, don't forget to hashtag, leave any questions, or privately message Christina or me if you have any. And we'll see you again next Thursday at the Ultimate Live. Thank you so much, and take care, Christina. I'll see you next Thursday.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.